the camera mounted on the rear wing. So, stand by for blast off and for action from Imola. 61 laps of it. The green flag is showing. That means they're ready to go. Bruce, your rider can press the button. Now! And Senna boils away. Schumacher second, Berger third, Damon Hill, and that's a Lotus. They'll have to stop the race, I'm sure, because there's debris on the circuit. That is Pedro Lamy. It's Pedro Lamy, who, the young Portuguese driver, who was right at the back of the grid in 22nd place, and that is one of the Benettons, so that has to be JJ Lehto. And Lamy is all right. We've seen a lot of very, very badly broken motor cars, sadly, at Imola over the last 2 days, and there is absolutely not a shadow of doubt in my mind as you look at car number 6 with its left wheel ripped off. JJ Lehto, I presume he's all right because he's out of the cockpit and the race will be stopped. They'll have to remove the wreckage. That will take quite a long time. And I don't know how that happened because Lamy was right at the back of the grid and JJ Lehto was in 5th position.
Well, I suspect, Murray, looking at the damage to those respective cars, it looks like Lehto was very, very slow, if not indeed stalled at the start. The left rear is destroyed. Let's have a look now. It looks like Lamy's hit the back of a slow Lehto. There is Lehto. There he is. He's stopped. He's stationary. And somebody's not going to hit him, and that's going to be Lamy. The Ligier's there going one each side. And there, just coming into our picture, is Lamy. Oh, that was very nearly an absolute rearward incident. And that's taken the complete right side off that Lotus car, and that really could have clearly had absolutely catastrophic circumstances. A wheel, looks like the wheel's gone into the crowd there, actually.
And very fortunate.
Thank goodness he's all right.
Very fortunately, that area of the grandstand is empty. And everybody is blasting past me. You're looking at a replay. There is Lamy's shattered motor car, and at the end of the first lap, Ayrton Senna is leading Michael Schumacher by 0.3 of a second. Gerhard Berger is third. Damon Hill is in 4th position. Here come the leaders now. It is Senna, Schumacher, Berger, Hill. They're slowing down. The pace car is out. That's it, I think. The pace car is out, going up the hill. It's not right to call it the pace car, I apologise. It's a safety car. In circumstances like this car comes out with the flashing lights on the roof. Normally, he would have a problem to pick up the leader. The ruling is that he picks up the leader and then all the others have to fall in line behind the leader with no passing allowed. We've had the safety car out very, very seldom. I can only remember it happening twice before, and never as early in a race as this. And I fear it's going to be out there for quite a long time, because to haul that Lotus, which is very badly battered indeed, and the Benetton of JJ Lehto, which, as you saw, here's a replay. Now, look for Pedro Lamy cutting across from the left-hand side of your screen to the right, as out in the Sauber comes Wendlinger. You can see Lehto underneath the green lights. He's stalled there. The Ligiers go past him. There's Lamy cutting across, and wham! Straight into the back of the Benetton goes the Lotus. Lamy completely unsighted.
Yes, that's just the kind of incident that Lehto could do without, because apart from ruining his race, he, of course, is just recovering from a broken neck, and that kind of impact, which is going to be pretty hard, would undoubtedly have not done his neck any good at all. It's a great shame for Lehto. He was really driving superbly in qualifying, his first time back into the seat with the Benetton after that difficult start to the season. Great shame. Maybe his unfamiliarity with the car there contributed towards the non-start that he clearly had, or maybe it was mechanical. We don't know at this stage.
We're looking back from the pace car now to Ayrton Senna, and my immediate reaction to this is this could well cause a lot of the technicians to be reconsidering their fuel strategy, because running at this slow speed, the cars, which are probably only got about 70 litres in the tank, will not be using nearly as much fuel. And while they're out behind the pace car, that means to say the miles per gallon will be considerably increased. There's Senna, Schumacher, Berger, Hill. Heinz-Harald Frentzen is in 5th position behind Damon Hill, and Frentzen was 7th on the grid, weaving to keep the tyre temperatures up. behind Frentzen, who is 5th on the grid as the leading McLaren Peugeot of Mika Häkkinen. This is to some extent academic, because as soon as the pace car pulls off into the pit lane, and you'll know when it's going to do it because you will see those flashing lights on the roof of the pace car go out.
Back. You've really got to look out for that type of thing, someone stalled on the grid.
What's going through the drivers' minds now? I mean, we've had 3 or 4 major spins in the first day. We had the 2 big crashes. We've had this at the start. I mean, you're getting pretty twitchy in the car.
No, not really. I think, you know, a good professional Grand Prix driver takes all of this in his stride. You know, he says, oh, you know, what's going on here? Like another bit of aggro. And that's about all he would think to himself. He would now be just settling down. I mean, I would think Senna now would be settling down and saying, right, we've done 3 or 4 under the, well, we shouldn't call it pace car. I'll get ready for a good start, make sure that I'm on the throttle nice and early, and make sure I get a good start. To them, it's just an interruption for something inevitable, which, here he goes, more.
Now, the lights are out on the pace car, so it looks as though the San Marino Grand Prix is about to restart, and it will be on the 6th lap out of 61, so 1/10 distance already completed as we ride with Damon Hill looking at Gerhard Berger's Ferrari ahead as they exit the Acqua Minerale, climb up towards the Variante Alta. The Ferrari is preceded by Schumacher's Benetton, which is led by number 2, yellow helmet, blue and white, Williams Renault of Ayrton Senna. And Michele Alboreto it was who was touring, and he has gone into the pits, presumably with a repetition of whatever the problem was that made him start from the pit lane. So, coming through to complete lap 5, Senna, even if he hadn't seen those lights go out, and he certainly would have, there's nobody more astute in Grand Prix racing than him, will know from a radio message from the pits that is the situation, and that it's about to be go as far as he's concerned. Now, watch the Ferrari of Gerhard Berger, V12 engine, tremendous amount of power. He will have all the distance up to the Tosa, through the Tamburello and Villeneuve, the right-hander. And you hear the engine revs rise as Senna, followed by Schumacher. There is Berger. We're on lap 6 now, and the San Marino Grand Prix is go again, and as before, Schumacher is the chief rival to Ayrton Senna, who comes down to the Ravazza. There's Berger 3rd, Damon Hill is 4th, Frentzen in the Black Sauber is 5th, Mika Häkkinen 6th, Larini 7th, and Carl Wendlinger in the 2nd Black Sauber is in 8th position. Climbing up now, I'm sorry, it wasn't the Ravazza, they're climbing up now towards the Variante Alta as they go through the Acqua Minerale, dropping down to approach it at about 150 miles an hour. And there's a gap after the 2nd Sauber of Wendlinger. Ukio Katayama in the Tyrrell is in 9th place. Martin Brundle is in 10th, so he has gained places because Martin Brundle started in 13th position on the grid.
And what's really interesting here is that Schumacher is very much keeping up with Senna. Now, from the morning warm-up times, he was 2 seconds slower than Senna, and that raised speculation as to whether he was actually going to make just one stop and therefore race with a much heavier fuel load. If he was going to do that, that would slow him down far more than his performance here looks, and it looks that perhaps that was a Benetton smokescreen. I'm not quite sure why they were so far off in the warm-up, but he is really not losing much to Senna at all. I would say basically he's right with him.
Well, we are right with Michael Schumacher now, and Senna, my goodness, I just saw him plunge off to the right, and Senna has joined Pedro Lamy and JJ Lehto in a shattered motor car. You can see the debris on the right. What on earth happened there? I don't know. Whether it was a sudden loss of downforce for some reason, but Senna is still in the car. It means to say, of course, that Schumacher has gone into the lead, but the important thing is now, how is Ayrton Senna, with the marshals already waving the yellow flags? No passing.
Yes, this looks very severe indeed, I must say. It looks like this corner that Senna was going around is absolutely flat out. It's 185 miles an hour. We really should be seeing some medical attention coming quickly here to the Williams with Senna. His head is he's very still in that car. The car has clearly gone straight on. This is a little bit like the accident that beset. He really needs help in that car. There is nobody coming to him at the moment. Yes, his head's moved. I think I just saw his head move a little bit then. The race has been stopped. The red flag is out. This looks a little bit like a problem with the car, as beset Berger at this very point 4 years ago in his Ferrari.
And it's where Nelson Piquet went off in the Williams some years ago in similar circumstances, and thank heavens he was all right. I must say I have concern at the fact that A, Senna is sitting in the car still, not moving, and B, surprisingly, there is not a lot of action. And here it is. Now look, he's going into the left-hander tremendously fast, and he runs wide and goes straight off. Doesn't even attempt to take the corner. And, well, I say that's about 190 miles an hour at that point, the exit from the Tamburello. They're still building up speed, but it was not very far short of 200 miles an hour. You can see the debris pouring off the car as Gerhard Berger comes through in the Ferrari.
Yes,
and already now the medical assistance is there. And so I'm glad to be able to tell you that medical assistance is now with Ayrton Senna, and they're taking off his helmet to get him out of the Williams Renault. At a San Marino Grand Prix meeting which has been dogged with the most appalling circumstances. First of all, Rubens Barrichello goes off on Friday at about 150 miles an hour and was extremely lucky that he wasn't very badly hurt. Then we had the even worse, dreadful accident for Roland Ratzenberger yesterday, and now this on the 7th lap of the race.
Yes, it's really very difficult indeed to know what happened there. The little bit of footage that we saw as Senna left the track, he just appeared to go straight on, appeared not to make the corner. This is a corner which normally should be flat out at 185 miles an hour without the car being on the limiter grip.
Michael Schumacher has stopped and got out of his car, helmet off, grim-faced. And all is quiet at the Imola circuit. The crowd has been stunned into silence. Senna, an enormously popular man here, 3 times a winner here in the past, and a very likely winner seemingly when this race began.
Well, I find that's the helicopter standing by. That's the medevac helicopter. You can see the track has been blocked off, and AJ, they're a long time getting him out of this car.
Looks like they've just gotten him out now, but it is a worry because they've taken a long time to get him out of the car, as you're quite right. I'm quite sure what the local hospital think. They must think they're a MASH unit, because that helicopter's been coming in quite frequently over the weekend.
Okay, so the massive crowd stunned here at San Marino. We'll take a break and hopefully come back with a little more to tell you. We are on the phone to the BBC, and we'll bring you up to date with all the information as soon as we can. Stay with.
Bologna's about 30 kilometres away. They have medical facilities obviously at the circuit, and they also have a local hospital. So the decision to fly him 30 k's to Bologna is not good. We can see the cars now, they're going around for the formation of the restart. So let's only all hope that Ayrton's all right.
Yeah, well...
driver in history didn't tell the real story of a complex and deeply religious man. But when asked whether he feared mortality, Senna answered,
"Don't you?"
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I do too. Very much.
The much heralded jobs... He had others. His car wasn't right and Formula One regulations were forbidding electronic aids he considered essential. The 34-year-old Brazilian next to Pelé in national status in his home country died after crashing head-on into a concrete barrier at 300+ kilometres per hour. Senna's Williams was leading on the 7th lap at more than 300 kilometres an hour when something went wrong. This was Michael Schumacher's view from behind as Senna veered right, smashing into the perimeter wall.
And Senna, my goodness, I just saw him plunge off to the right, and Senna has
It quickly became clear that Senna was critically injured. The race was stopped. He sat practically motionless for 2 minutes before paramedics arrived. 15 minutes later, he was airlifted to hospital, suffering massive head injuries. Under Italian law, even though doctors said he was clinically dead, he was put on a life support system. He died shortly after. The cause of the accident remains a mystery. The loss of control was so sudden, it was almost certainly mechanical. The doyen of motor racing commentators, Murray Walker, said it was the blackest day he could ever remember.
I remember Ayrton Senna, and it seems terrible to have to use those words, as a tremendously intense man who was determined to achieve his goals. You can't speak about many drivers in the same breath as you can Ayrton Senna.
One of the great skills and one of the great talents that's ever lived in Grand Prix racing. So to see an accident such as we saw today, I think has totally shocked the whole motor racing community.
Senna was world champion 3 times. In a highly technical sport, he was the most naturally gifted. Some say the greatest Grand Prix driver in the history of the sport.
I think every Grand Prix driver would agree with me in saying that if we had to nominate the driver least likely to have something like that happen, we'd have said Ayrton Senna.
Senna's fatal crash wasn't the only one that will haunt the San Marino Grand Prix of 1994. One at the start led to a spectator being injured, and a mechanic was later hurt when a loose tyre flew through the pit area. Senna's death came just a day after Austria's Roland Ratzenberger was killed in practice. His was the first death in Formula One in 12 years. That came just a day after another spectacular crash at the circuit, which amazingly saw the driver escape with just a broken nose. New regulations in force this year were designed for more exciting racing. The new rules mean the cars no longer have anti-lock braking systems nor active suspension, which helps cornering. Traction control computers have also been banned. It's all designed to make Formula One less technical and more a test of driving skills. Some say it also increases the risks, especially at circuits like Imola. Our own 3-time world champion, Sir Jack Brabham, disagrees.
Unfortunately, mechanical failure is something that you couldn't design a circuit really that would cope with mechanical failure at the wrong time.
While officials try to find out what caused Senna's car to crash, the race winner Michael Schumacher said it was a time for an urgent review of safety regulations.
I think there is a lot to learn from, and we have to use this. And things like this, they shouldn't happen without taking the experience from it.
In Brazil, Ayrton Senna was a national hero. Today, his country was stunned. People cried openly. Fans at a soccer match chanted his name. Ayrton Senna de Silva, his real name. He was just 34, known to his close friends as Harry. He once said, "Winning is like a drug. I cannot justify in any circumstances coming second or third." He'll be a hard act to follow. He will. Remember that quote. Winning is like a drug. I can't justify in any circumstances coming second or third. That is Sports Tonight, Monday, May 2. Tragic day.